There you go.
And if you guys are all set, you guys do a countdown?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a 3, 2. Now you guys are waiting. So we're live here. I'm Andrea Metcalf with Women Talking Cars. You know, women make 80% of the purchase decision in buying a car, but hey, we drive them, and we are also going to be meeting a lot of people who not only can demystify the car buying process and the car maintenance process, we're also going to talk to women who drive us because we're always driving towards excellence. And my first guest today is going to be Sandra Edwards. Sandra, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate you being here.
Let's give you a little bit of information. You know, Sandra's the founder of Wheels on Time, but she has an amazing background from being in the services to being homeless at one point in her life. She's a native Chicagoan, and she's also served in the U.S. Army for 10 years. I tell you, to meet this lady in person, she is a powerhouse and more than just Wheels on Time. Sandra, tell us a little bit about your current company, Wheels on Time.
Well, thank you, Andrea. Wheels on Time is a finance company. We provide financing for new tire purchases and auto repairs for simple working class people.
So when I first thought about that, I said, okay, well, she must have a lot of money. A lot of money. You're loaning people money left and right. Is that how you do it? You got a big bank or you got a cash tree?
Well, up to this point, we have been self-financed. So it's been very beneficial. But we've just got our first funding background, so people will be able to get more financing done for the things that they need, and we have a backer now, so it's awesome.
Well, that's really great. That's people like Bob Rohrman, BobRohrman.com. If you're looking for a new car, can come and meet with you and get Wheels on Time or that repair. We've got Fields, and we can't forget Mac Tools, who are actually the parts that put those cars back together. But let's get back to your background, Sandra. You have been through so much. I want to go back to the first point where you and I met, and you told me that you have a family.
I do. I have a husband, James Edwards. I've been married to him for 5 years now. I have a son, Omari, and I have 2 grandchildren. I have a grandson and a granddaughter.
Well, that's a pretty big family. But there was a point in your life that you were pretty much at your lowest. So let's go back to that point, because it really does give us the root of who you are and who you've become and how hard you've pushed yourself to be where you are today.
Yes, Andrea. I was homeless. When my son was 13 years old, we didn't have a place to live. I went through being wrongfully incarcerated, living out of my car, and I really was at my lowest point, but I've always had faith. I've always had faith, and God just moved things out of the way. I saw the error of my ways, and I kind of changed some things. It's been a long road, but I've learned a lot, and now I try to impart those things that I've learned to other women, because it's important, and empower them.
Well, I think you had told me, God told me to go back to the police station, and I thought that was really interesting because you said you just got out of jail for this crazy thing that happened.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. I had spent 7 days in jail for something that I did not do. And I'm in my car. I woke up one morning in my car because I didn't have a place to live. And I'm like, Lord, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he said, go to the police station. Now, Andrea, you know that was the last place I wanted to go, but I was being obedient. So I went to the police station, and ironically, across the street from the police station was the women's shelter.
And they helped you.
They helped me.
Get your feet on the ground.
They did.
And start pushing forward.
They
I mean,
did.
you have a 13-year-old son that you're responsible for, aside from yourself.
Yes.
You know, what was the next step?
Just having belief, having faith in myself, not giving up on life because I had fallen. You know, I have a theory that you should fail fast. You're going to fail. You can't not go through life thinking that you're never going to have any defeats. That's not going to happen. But do it fast. Get it over with and move on.
Make those mistakes. I think learning from
Absolutely.
those mistakes is really key.
Absolutely.
I know I've had a lot of successes on my own, and people are like, you're so confident. You know, you cold called the president of NBC. You cold called Oprah.com. And what makes you that confident? I said, because I know that 1 out of those 10 times I'm going to succeed.
Absolutely.
And I don't care about the other 9 that I fail.
Absolutely.
You know, in my lifetime, I've made a lot of mistakes. But it's when you don't learn from those mistakes that you can't move forward.
Absolutely.
And having that confidence is really, really important, and believe in yourself. So that leads us to this newest business that you're in, Wheels on Time, where you help women get new tires, and men, I think for that matter.
We do.
But also repair, and that comes from a career as unlikely as being a truck driver. Tell me a little bit about that.
I was. When my son turned 18 years old, I thought, I'm in the middle of jobs right now, and I really love to drive. Driving is therapeutic for me, so I thought I'll be a truck driver. So that's what I did. I set out to go to truck driving school. I got my CDL. I actually even drove tankers. I was the only female at the company, but I was awesome, if I may say so myself.
She was awesome. She's awesome right now. That's an industry that we don't see likely as women into. So what barriers did you have to overcome?
I'm going to be totally transparent. I didn't feel like there were any barriers for me. I've been a tomboy most of my life. I've always been one that was hands-on. So I knew a little bit about auto maintenance, and I knew I loved to drive. So there was nothing that, made me feel like I couldn't do that.
Well, that's an interesting story. We'll take you back to Sandra Edwards. She's 16 years old, driving a car, and her dad says, now, what did your dad tell you as some good advice?
He says, okay, if anything goes wrong with the car, just bring it over. I'm thinking, bring it over so he could repair it. That was not the case. Bring it over so that we could repair it. So it started out, okay, Sandra, so what's it doing? Well, why do you think it's doing that? And I'm going, I don't know. But that in and of itself taught me how to listen to my vehicle, how to pay attention to what's going on in my vehicle so that I wasn't afraid to dabble.
Well, I hear you. I was telling earlier a story of I was about 20 years old, and I had a LeBaron convertible. I had never bought a car. I was very, very lucky and grateful that my father bought me a new car. And, of course, being a spoiled brat, I decided that I didn't like the Chrysler LeBaron convertible. In '83, I wanted the Honda Accord. That was the cool, hip car, or a used BMW. In either case, the car dealer decided to trade in my LeBaron, and I got a Dodge Omni for about 3 months' time. Now, during that 3 months' time, we had a little bit of an issue because there was this little lamp that kept going off, this red light that looked like a little genie. I thought I was going to get a wish at some point, and the wish was going to be for a tow truck when my car then turned up with no oil. So I learned about car maintenance
the hard way.
The hard way. Yeah, I lost some money on that deal and definitely had to work hard to pay my dad back.
And there are a lot of stories out there like that. So as a woman who knows about auto repairs, during the summer, I give a women's car care clinic where I teach women how to do everything from change their tires to maintaining their fluids, just light auto repairs that will keep your car on the road.
It's so funny. You and I do the same thing. You talk auto repair, I talk body repair, which is the same thing. How do you fuel it? How do you use it?
Yes.
How do you take care of it?
It's important.
It's very important.
Yes.
Now let's go a little bit back further. We're talking about your dad giving you your first lesson on auto repair. What was that like?
It wasn't bad. It was loving and caring, so I was into it. It wasn't like a taskmaster where he's beating and whipping. You're going to learn this. He was like asking me questions that just made sense. It was the what they call the process of elimination. So if it's not this, then what else could it be? He would just ask me questions that made me think about, okay, well, that makes sense. Let's try this. And eventually we would get to what was wrong. And I was so motivated by that I couldn't be intimidated because it just made sense. It wasn't rocket science, as they say.
It can be simple, but you do remind me of a character out of My Cousin Vinny. You're the Mona Lisa Vito of My Cousin Vinny because she knows cars inside and out, which makes it such a great asset when you're talking about car repair and getting that financing.
Absolutely.
Talk tires. That's where you really started. Wheels on Time was about getting people the opportunity to be able to afford new tires.
Absolutely.
And what does the average set of tires cost these days?
Well, obviously, that's going to depend on a couple of things. It will depend on your year, make, and model of your car, the tire size, the tire brand. But now, the customers that I tend to work with are people who have nicer vehicles. Their tires may cost $700 to $1,000 a pair. I mean, for a set, actually, which would be a set of 4. But that's a lot of disposable income that a lot of people just don't have.
That's right.
So we help them buy a set of tires.
Well, and tires are really important, especially in the city of Chicago with potholes everywhere.
Absolutely.
I had a car that I ended up buying pothole insurance.
Are you
And
kidding
in
me?
2 years' time in the city of Chicago, I had 9 tires replaced. And those tires
Wow.
were very expensive tires that I was very happy that I
You
purchased that plan. Very happy.
Absolutely.
So what other repairs are you seeing as common things that need to be financed that people aren't, thinking going to happen to their car?
Yeah. Well, we do light auto repairs, financing up to $1,300. So far what I've been seeing, transmissions, and that's not the purchase of the transmission and the service, because, hourly service rates tend to get a little high, but we help people if they just want to buy the part. As long as they're using a garage that's licensed and bonded, then we'll do that as too. We don't finance shade tree mechanics, and we don't do that, okay? So we get a lot of brakes, suspension, things that have to do with the life of their tires.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Transmission. What does it do? What's the average cost?
Well, that's going to depend a lot on the vehicle. If the vehicle's bigger, then of course your transmission is going to cost a lot more. The transmission basically shifts your car. It's what moves your car from speed to speed.
So no transmission, no
You're
car
not going
driving.
anywhere.
It's got a body.
Pretty
Okay,
much.
it's kind of like the heart of the car.
Well, that and the engine, they work hand in hand. Like you were talking about your oil.
Yeah.
If you don't have oil in your vehicle, you're probably going to blow gaskets. That's going to kill your engine. So all these things work together to keep the car like a well-oiled machine. So you have to start with the minor things, like being able to recognize when you need to change your fluids, when you need to add to or whatever, and not just your oil. Most people know how to do the oil, but you have 5 to 6 fluids in your vehicle that you need to pay attention to and maintain.
So now I'm being educated. I know windshield wiper fluid.
Windshield wiper,
I know
coolant,
okay.
transmission
Let
fluid.
me guess. I don't know transmission fluid, but I know oil, and then there was another key one that when it gets low, it's like for my brakes.
There you go, brake fluid.
Brake fluid.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we do is in our women's car care clinic, because it's a hands-on class, we typically have about a dozen women in the class, and we have a little booklet, and we go through the different repairs.
So I'm going to go to that class so I can be better educated. I love this.
Absolutely. And they get to work on their own cars.
So you said transmissions, you mentioned brakes. Now,
Yes.
Recently, I was at the auto dealership, at the Jeep dealership, and they had told me, you're going to need new brakes soon. I thought, okay, well, what does that mean?
Right.
What does soon mean? Does that mean I need them in 2 days, 2 weeks? And then I was surprised to find that it was going to be $400 to $600, which when we come again to an auto expense, typically you've got your insurance, you've got your gas, you've got your car payment, maybe you've got parking or parking tickets. God forbid, if you're in Chicago, you probably have one or two. But how would you know about the brakes? What is something that anyone can kind of do to know a little bit about
When you need to replace it? Well, typically you're going to hear noise.
I don't hear anything.
Even before you, there's a couple of things. The way that I can tell if I need brakes, typically, it starts with the rotor. You'll start hearing screeching, but then when your pedal starts going further down than it used to go, then that means your pads are wearing thin.
And I thought that was just for me driving in heels.
Nope, that's not it. So there are signs, but you know what? More than anything, I would like to, encourage people, use the internet. The internet is a wonderful place. It's not just for checking your Facebook page. I promise you it's not.
So give us a couple of sites besides wheelsontime.com to find out more about your car. How can we take ownership?
Okay, there is a website that I love. I absolutely recommend this to women. It's called repairpal.com.
Okay.
You can put in the symptoms of what's going on with your car.
It's a WebMD for the cars.
It is. And it will, but even better than that, Andrea, depending on the area where you live, because you put in your zip code or your city and state, what's going on with your car, the year, make, and model of your car, and it will tell you what the average cost for that repair is in your area. So you have power now.
You can go right in there and say, I kind of know it's going to be X, Y, and Z.
Exactly.
Just like when I go out to buy some shoes or food, I know what the
You
prices
know what it
are.
should be.
But this is a great resource.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your journey in your business. You're so driven. As we talk, Women Talking Cars. I'm Andrea Metcalf, WomenTalkingCars.com. You're so driven. Taking this business and starting it off the ground, what were your biggest fears?
I don't know if I would say fear as much as I would say question. There was a question in my mind. When I started Wheels on Time in Chicago in June of 2014, there were no other businesses dedicated to rent-to-own tire financing. So for me, it was about proving the concept. Will this work? Because sometimes if there's nothing in a certain area, it's nothing there for a reason because it doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Niche businesses occur because there is a reason for them.
Yes.
So that's great. I love that. What was your first step? You had said business plan. So when we're talking about business and getting something going, who wrote your business plan?
Actually, I wrote my business plan. I actually went to an entrepreneurial class. It was a 9-month course here right in a suburb of Chicago with Living Word Christian Center. It's called the Joseph Business School. And they have a 9-month accredited course, and it took you through the process of writing a business plan from A to Z. So each class was pretty much focused on a section of the business plan. It was awesome.
What was the biggest obstacle?
My biggest obstacle was probably educating my market. People didn't know about what I do. So they were apprehensive, to say the least, you know. So it was educating my public.
So why Wheels on Time? It sounds like I'm a rival, a data rival for the airport. Where did that come from?
I actually thought that up. My tagline initially was on time, overtime, anytime. So,
Like that?
Wheels on Time. If you need wheels right now, we have them for you right now.
Well, I love that. So part of the Women Talking Cars right here with Andrea Metcalf is to bring women their own show. Now, Sandra, you're going to be pulling out your own show. Tell us a little bit about your show that we're going to expect to see just in the next few upcoming minutes.
Okay. We have a new show. I have a new show called The War Room. It's women in auto repairs, and it's all about changing the way women see auto repairs, using education to change the stereotype of auto repairs being rocket science. It's not.
Well, and it's not just for women or men. It's International Women's Day. We're talking about how we celebrate women. This is definitely a celebration with your business, Wheels on Time, and launching your new show. What guests can we expect to see on your show?
I have 2 women that are coming up I'm going to interview that they're both near and dear to my heart because they both support 2 things that are near and dear to my heart. One is Molly Cantrell Craig, and she has a business. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. She has a business that focuses on helping women transition from welfare to work. And my other guest is Dana Oswald, and she has a business that they provide employment opportunities, or they help veterans when they transition out of the military to get jobs. So since I'm a U.S. Army veteran and obviously a woman, these 2 women are 2 of my favorite people.
I love that. You know, we can't do a show without some of our sponsors. So I want to just quick shout-outs to Mac Tools, Race Talk Radio, BMW Windy City, BobRorman.com, and Field CJD. They are our sponsors. We are always welcoming aboard more sponsors. We want to help you bring your business to life, just like Wheels on Time. So wheelsontime.com, give me just one more quick 30-second pitch about what that business does and how people can find you.
Yes, Wheels on Time is a new tire and auto repair financing company. You can find us online at www.wheelsontime.com. That's Wheels with a Z, ontime.com.
Hey, Wheels Like a Z, that's just like on talkingcars.com. Well, this is Andrea Metcalf. This is Women Talking Cars. We're going to be here live featuring so many great women that are going to bring to life, and men, we're going to have them as guests as well, about how you can drive your best vehicle, what drives you, and where you're going to drive your next car to. I'm Andrea Metcalf with Women Talking Cars. Thank you so much, Sandra, for joining me.
You're so welcome.
Have a great day.